Building self-compassion during an addiction crisis. Welcome to Be Fab, Be You Made Simple, your daily dose of inspiration designed to help you reinvent yourself by optimizing your body and mind. I am Maria Horstman, a health editor and coach, a fitness trainer, a speaker, and an entrepreneur, founder of BeFabBeYou.com. Our episodes are short and will bring you valuable content and practical nuggets for optimal health and fitness that you can implement ASAP. Let's get you to feel fabulous every day. Are you ready? Check out the show notes to 1, schedule a free call with me to discuss a plan to take your health to the next level. 2, submit a question to be featured in our Ask Me Anything episodes on Sundays. Connect with me on social media and much more. Hit the subscribe button, and if you like what you hear, share with your friends and leave it a rating. Building self-compassion during an addiction crisis. Well, welcome back to the Be Fab, Be You Made Simple podcast. In today's episode, I will share some of my struggles with sugar, addiction, and how the process itself helped me boost self-compassion. As I started to reflect about what I was going to share, about my struggles with sugar and emotional problems that came along, I noticed that there is quite a bit of information to unpack. So you get to understand why becoming an insulin resistance coach and nutrition endocrinology practitioner have become so key to me personally and professionally. So stay tuned, more on that coming. The reason I'm sharing details that I'm about to share is because this may resonate with you or someone else in your life. Overcoming my sugar addiction, which was tagged to eating disorder and other problems, was one of the hardest things I've accomplished. Doing this alone was awful, and I don't recommend it. So you might be asking, did you do it alone? Why did you do it? So yes, the answer is yes. At least I did it alone for the most part of it. And honestly, the reason was back then the information was, not quite out there about sugar addiction. I was embarrassed. I didn't feel confident that the environment and the people I spend most of my time with would be able to actually offer the support and help I needed, because I wanted to get to the bottom of it at that point. So it's a call I made, and that's okay. So I went off to doing for myself, and so that's where I embraced research, learning, application of the knowledge I was, embracing, and eventually teaching as a coach. It's something that I do today. I am passionate about empowering stressed out sugar and carb lovers, aka addicts, to rediscover vitality, happiness, and lead a fulfilling life. And since we're talking about sugar addiction, yes, blood sugar management and insulin sensitivity are essential to good health and to reduce the risk for many inflammatory diseases. I've shared a couple of fears that helped me ignite change in me with you. Another fear that played a key role was of dying of cancer and dementia. Yes, I feel like cancer eats our bodies alive and dementia eats our brains alive. And when I learned how sugar elevates the levels of inflammation in the body, and that the research shows people with these diseases have high levels of inflammation, I took note immediately. I decided I was going to do what's in my power to prevent them. I was critically addicted to sugar. I don't think people really think of it as an addiction and is understood as other addictions out there. These are chemical imbalances in the brain, and I have proof of mine too. There is more awareness now than when I started this battle against sugar 7 years ago. I consider myself part of the movement to raise awareness, educate, and guide people about the negative side effects of elevated consumption of added sugars and even sugars in general from foods. Not all sugars are great. And for many years, my battle with sugar was accompanied with eating disorder, bulimia to be more specific. And this cycle of binging and purging was frequent for quite some time. The relationship with sugar goes long ways in my life. When I was a kid, I used to drink condensed milk. Yes, I grabbed the can and I stole them practically from my mom. I would make a couple holes in the cans and I would drink, hide the can under my bed. My mom would obviously see next day and it would cuss me out. Anything sweet, homemade or purchased, I killed it. I used to eat more when nobody was watching. Yes. At 14, I worked in a bakery. I ate sweets constantly and when nobody was watching. So I was very careful about hiding this behavior. I did the same when I worked in a supermarket at age 15, 16. And after I moved to the United States, I was 21. The addiction got worse. And because sugar was everywhere here, and the type of sugar was worse than was that in Brazil, my diet worsened too. Hey, I didn't have no mom cooking for me anymore. I was getting the junk, and I didn't want anything to do with cooking. It was awful. So things got out of control quickly for me. I gained a lot of weight too. And when I bring, by the way, this is another thing, right, that I did. When I brought byproducts of sugar home, I would try to control the consumption. I would think out of sight, out of mind, so I would hide them in the house. Well, my addicted brain knew much better than that. Who all of us trying to fool? Goodness. I would I would give up, that back and forth, grabbing, one more, two more, whatever. And I would tell myself, well, if I eat all now, I don't have anything tomorrow. Right. That doesn't work, folks. Didn't work for me. Many times, what I felt was guilt, among several other things. What I did next, a lot of times, I binged and I threw up. Some days, especially on the weekends when I had more time at home, I did this twice. It was brutal in all senses. And I can tell you hundreds of stories of things I did, all by myself. So, this is something to keep note. We don't know people. We don't know what goes on in their lives and what their demons are. These behaviors and tactics continue for another 20 plus years. Living alone facilitated it since I could do whatever and whenever I wanted. At some point, it became clear that this beast, sugar, had taken a toll on my emotional well-being since I was a kid. I was filled with shame, blame, guilt, insecurities, self-criticism, self-judgment, unworthiness, disappointments, and powerlessness. All this happened. And look, I'm not free yet of some of these things. It was with me for 30-something years. It takes a while. In 2013, about the end of the year, that year, I faced the beast and it started to confront my demons. Yes, I call them little demons because they were ruining me, slowly and steady. It wasn't until then when I start to stop consumption of these foods, actually shouldn't call them foods, right? It's just crap, that I realized how powerful this addiction was. But back then, during my research for answers, I came across a presentation a doctor was giving to college athletes about ways to improve their performance in sports and life. He spent a significant amount of time discussing nutrition, including the damage added sugars do to the cells. I watched that presentation multiple times, and his drawing on the whiteboard about the topic is stuck to me. His presentation had a profound impact on me and on my relationship with sugar. My trips to the supermarket and gas stations and events even I attended all became stressful. It was, I was becoming a food label machine. And whenever I grabbed candy and I read the labels, the doctor's whiteboard and the pathways popped into my head. And I could see that whiteboard and the things vividly. And I would hold the package and start having conversations and nasty arguments with myself. I would call myself names and go over a laundry list of awful things about myself. And that was because it was a weakness of mine that I was experiencing. So I was battling over here what to do. Take it, not take it, why? Lord, often I stood there for minutes, doing this. The struggle was real. I remember, I'm saying this to you, and I still have these vivid memories. What I realized was how awful I was to myself. And it took some time for me to do that. There was absolutely no self-compassion, none. It was rigid, strict. And as I continued to learn about health and wellness, I started to understand I needed to become kind to myself. I needed to learn how to do that. There was no quick fix, and being nasty to myself was not part of the solution. So I started to ask several questions. Why I was so abusive to myself, why I was so strict, why? There were so many questions. Eventually hit me, well, where do I come from? The environment I was raised in didn't offer words of empowerment, compassion, approval, and support. I was not in an environment that developed my self-esteem, confidence, worth, or self-worth. None. There's good things about it, but I'm going to stay focused here. And I am actually an anti-self-pity and excuses person. Blaming someone isn't a solution either. I'm totally against this. I realized this was going to take some time to heal. These were deep wounds. I needed to be patient. I needed to be kind to myself in this process. I started to work on that too. It became a very comprehensive self-work. And I welcomed the new journey into my life. One, because I was learning about health and wellness, and it's absolutely fascinating. Two is I embraced this journey of personal growth, and that alone has been just awesome and fulfilling. And I cannot imagine a life without it now. So I've learned a few things that I would like to share with you. I've learned that people cannot give what they don't have. I know my mother gave all she could. Considering the circumstances, she did an amazing, fantastic job raising my siblings and I, and I'm forever grateful. And I tell her that often. God had a different plan for me and my siblings. I cannot think of any other explanation to how we didn't turn out with different outcomes in life. We're all good peeps. We're all successful in many ways. I get to run my race. That's the other thing that I learn, is I stay very curious to what may be in my way. And I want to clear the path. The more I learn about my upbringing, my history, what makes me, Maria, the more equipped I feel to redirect my steps so I can reach my full potential. Lastly, I really have chosen to believe that I'm not defined by my past. I am prepared by my past. I've heard this somewhere now. I don't know where, but I remember taking note when I heard. So eventually, yes, I ditched my sugar addiction, my eating disorder, my chronic digestive issues. I have become a better version of myself. I have more compassion, patience, understanding for myself and others, and especially those, who I work with. It is, part of the process was to do and offer myself more of what I offered others. Isn't that interesting? And, it's like peeling an onion. There are unique layers to learn, process, and digest about ourselves. And I've learned to give myself permission to fail forward, especially being an entrepreneur. It is part of growth. Now I understand. Setbacks happen. And being compassionate throughout these steps of life will result in progress over time. All to say that healing starts from the inside out. If you are experiencing challenges, I know this is possible for you to overcome as well. I'm on a mission to help people experience their breakthroughs. I'm here to help you, to get you out of your own way so you can reach your full potential, or even discover this potential you don't even know that might exist. You deserve to reach the success that you plan to have in your life. Or maybe it is time to rethink about this success. We defined it. Now we need the health and wellness to achieve it. And that is mental, physical, and emotional. And I would love, love, love to be part of your health village and your personal growth journey. So do not hesitate to reach out and book a call. Let's talk about this. Let's put a plan of action. So together we'll transform your life as well. So cheers to health, right? Thanks for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share. Leave us a rating and leave us a feedback as well. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Be Fab, Be You Made Simple podcast. Can you do me a favor? If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and leave it a rating. It helps the podcast and I really appreciate it. If you're wondering where to start, head over to my website, linked in the show notes, to sign up to receive encouragement, tips, and strategies to maximize results. While you're there, download a free health guide to get you started today. If you're looking for a coach and trainer to help you optimize your weight, body, and health, get on my calendar. Let's discuss your goals, establish a custom plan, implement it, and celebrate your results. Together, we can do this. Find the link to schedule a free energy audit strategy session also in the show notes. Connect with me on social media. I would love for you to let me know that you're listening to the show. Also, see the show notes for the links. In addition to a qualified healthcare practitioner, it's important that you have someone in your corner who is in for you and will help you to plan and stay on track implementing your goals. Are you ready? Let's rock and roll this boat. I will see you on the next episode of BFAB BU Made Simple. Just a reminder that this podcast is for educational purposes only. This podcast is not a substitute for health care by a doctor or other qualified medical professionals. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services.